Guys, what happens when you throw an independent beanie-wearing journalist into a room with a Hollywood wine sipper? You get Tim Pool on Bill Maher's podcast, aka the political version of watching someone try to explain the internet to their dad. Let's get into it.
Well, a New York Times article is going viral on X for describing Democrats' plans to, you guessed it, find their own Joe Rogan.
The article is titled, 6 months later, Democrats are still searching for the path forward. The specific part of the article that grabbed many people's attention reads, quote, the prospectus for the one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online. It is code-named SAM, for short, Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises the investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games that Robbie just played this weekend, among other things.
Meanwhile, podcaster Tim Pool joined Bill Maher's Club Random podcast this week. The two discussed why young men have shifted toward Christianity and are voting Republican. Let's listen.
One thing I think is true is that conservatives had more kids in the 2000s. I know a lot of people want to claim these ideological victories where they say, like, we've red pilled people. And among Gen Z, irrespective of that, there's been a rightward ideological shift among men. And I think this has to do with contemporary politics, movies, games, culture, etc.
And also men feeling that they were targeted unfairly. There is a lot of toxicity in being maleness. Some of that we can't control.
All right, guys, you're watching On Air with Nick Dropper, the Nick Dropper podcast here on YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe to this channel. Ring that notification bell. And you'll be notified of all my upcoming video releases. You know, guys, when it comes to this entire situation with Bill Maher and Tim Pool, I want you guys to really notice what they're actually saying here. And I'm going to get into my comments after this next clip. Let's keep rolling the tape, guys.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom in what they were saying there. I obviously talked a little bit about this in my radar last week. It's fairly obvious the variety of reasons that young men have shifted to the right. Those things that they're mentioning, pop culture, video games, etc., a podcast. It used to be the case that not everything in our lives was political. Sports isn't necessarily political, and not all entertainment is political. There's a political dimension to some of it, but not all of it. But in these times where everything is so political and so high stakes at the presidential election level, politics has really seeped into everything. And it's also filled where, like, this is for, it's all consistent now. If you watch these things, you like these things, you participate in these things, these are your activities, then you are a Republican who likes Trump. If you like these things and you have these cultural preferences and you associate with these people and you live in these places, then you are a liberal Democrat who likes cultural progressivism. And there's less and less overlap. Didn't used to be the case. If you go back, 50 years, there were people who, voted for local Republican, but had mostly Democratic friends, and maybe they voted for John Kennedy for president because they liked how he looked on TV. Like, there was, it was back. It wasn't all
some nuance in voting.
It was right. It was more like you're part of a club, and that membership has all sorts of different cast of characters and different preferences. Now you're all getting like this is everything. These are all the characteristics of these people, and these are all the characteristics of these people. So young men increasingly get slotted into this category. The preferences they have, the things they like, are associated with the right. Can Democrats fix this problem by a strategic action plan costing millions and millions of dollars to grow in a laboratory Blue Rogan, Dem Rogan? I don't think so.
I think that they should avoid chasing the shiny new object, right? They tried that throughout Kamala's whole campaign and it didn't really work. Even if the objects weren't new, they were like legendary stars that they brought to the table. These tactics don't work with like, hey, look at this. This is really popular. We're doing it now. I think the policy is really what matters. Talking back to those working class Americans that they lost. Somehow the Republican Party, the one to trickle down, became the working class party. And I don't know how we have these different conversations that 10 years ago we wouldn't have had.
All right, guys. So there you go. You saw that. There is a lot of energy from the Democrat Party when it comes to being an actual man, a straight man, regardless of what race you are, regardless if you're white, black, Hispanic, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Filipino, it doesn't matter. There is a lot of toxicity coming from the Democrat Party, being that it is now so engaged in the feminist aspect of politics. You know, guys, it's really what they were talking about here was really what they hit head on. You know, men have had to deal with so many ridiculous things over the last 5 years that they are actually turning away from the Democrat Party. All masculine men have pretty much turned away. And this is not me taking shots, but, you know, they tried to make Tim Walz appear to be a masculine man, but there's not one masculine man on planet Earth that would put tampons in a boy's bathroom. So, guys, you know, the Me Too movement, you know, believe all women, you know, that was very, very destructive to a lot of men's lives. You know, would you just believe all women? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. Yo, what are you talking about? You know, I don't believe anybody. I don't care what, I believe people, but I take it with a grain of salt. Like, just blanketly believe all women. That's crazy. That's absolutely insanity. But that is what the left was pushing during this moment in time. And it was very destructive. And as we see now, it has been a very, you know, caused the Democrat Party to lose elections. That's right, guys. You know, and you know, when it comes to video games, one of my buddies, George, huge gamer, man. I love video games too. I'm not as big of a gamer as him. He's creating his own video game and stuff. But even video games, there was a video game out recently where they are like interjecting all this kind of transgender ideology stuff into these video games where it doesn't really need to be there. Like, if it's, I understand if it's like goes along with the storyline, but you know, they keep doing all this identity politics stuff within video games, and then they wonder why there's so much backlash. Like, there was one video game recently, well, over the last year or so, where it was supposed to be a, I want to say Japanese video game where you were playing as a samurai, and they made the samurai black. It's like, what are you talking about? It's Japanese people. You know, it's just crazy to me. You know, it's crazy. And the Dems want a Joe Rogan. You had Joe Rogan. The Democrats say we want a Joe Rogan on our side. He was on your side. He was on your side. You guys are so crazy, and your politics was so far out there. He said, just like I have heard so many people say this. I've heard so many people say this, that I've heard people say, quote, I never moved from where I was politically, but the left got so far left, they left me behind. You guys had Joe Rogan. I don't know what to say, man. That's crazy. You can't create something like that. That's something that is built from a grassroots standpoint. You can't just create out of thin air. What do you guys got? Harry System or whatever? Yeah, you got Harry, bro. Hey, y'all pay him off, man. Just get Harry. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Take care. My name is Nick Driver. You watch On Air Nick Driver podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, share Nick Driver on social media. You guys be safe. One love.